Police had been working around the clock to solve the murder of 45-year-old Frederick George Schmidt. Schmidt was found on Tuesday in his blood-splattered Zara Street flat with his throat cut and jaw broken. Detectives interviewed a number of people who were known associates of the murdered man, and they were particularly keen to talk to a woman who he was last seen with. Detectives say she contacted the Gunnedah police and was later charged with being an accessory to murder. The woman, 30-year-old Julie Ann McMillan, appeared in the Gunnedah remand court and has been brought to Newcastle to face court tomorrow. Police have also charged 20-year-old Paul James Carr of no fixed address with murder. He appeared in the Newcastle court today and will reappear tomorrow. Bail was refused. Frances Keltland and Gary Jones are both painting teachers at the Newcastle College of Advanced Education, and they are combining in a joint exhibition at the Newcastle Contemporary Gallery. But their works are radically different. The paintings of Frances Keltland are figurative with an autobiographical content that accounts for the recurring images. He says he mostly paints things that are close at hand.
I paint myself and my wife. I paint the things that are around me. The paintings are basically autobiographical. So they're either myself or my wife or people that I know very closely.
For Gary Jones, it's the letter I that has become a preoccupation. Some of his works have an Aboriginal quality which Gary says is not intentional. In fact, he worried about this quality, believing many Western artists were leaning on Aboriginal art. He uses a Morse code technique not dissimilar to pointillism, but instead of using dots, he uses a dot-dash technique that's very active. And for him, the letter I is really a human torso, which he sees as a universal symbol.
A fun fish at the Horseshoe Beach Breakwater was just one of the Matara Festival activities that got underway today. The one-day competition attracted more than 160 young anglers. For those interested in the more cultural aspects of the Matara, the annual outdoor art exhibition will be held in Civic Park until next Saturday afternoon. Winning artists are Merrin Cork of Adamstown Heights, John Edge of Glendale and Paul Farley of Stockton. Other art displays being held during the Matara include the Society of Artists exhibition in City Hall. The indoor art exhibition officially opens tonight at 7 o'clock. The display also includes exchange art from Newcastle's sister city, Ube, in Japan. Meanwhile, the Matara Festival Parade will travel along a new route this year.
That's right, we're going to start off down Hunter Street from Watt Street, turn right into New Common and down along Scott from there, along Burwood and finish in front of City Hall.
Other Matara Festival activities include an exhibition by members of the Woodturners of the Hunter. 800 pieces will be on show at Fort Scratchley, where wood-turning demonstrations will also be given. And in keeping with the Matara exhibition spirit, the Newcastle Lapidary Club is holding its regular display in City Hall. The club has held an exhibition every year since the Matara began, and this year's includes gemstones from all over the world. Many more Matara activities will be held during the next week.
Well, on Sunday we're going to Stockton Beach to build Australia's longest ever sand model. Monday we've got the race day at the Jockey Club, and this evening the concerto competition final is on at Town Hall at 7:30.
If you could sum it up, what would you say was the main reason for holding Matara every year?
Just to have fun and to celebrate what a fabulous place Newcastle is to live, and to get out and enjoy yourself in Newcastle with events organised by Newcastle people for Newcastle people.
In our news tonight, a report on the 1987 Twin Rivers Festival Triathlon held today at Raymond Terrace. Competitors made their way through a 1 kilometre swim in the Williams River, a 27 kilometre bike ride to Seaham and back, and finished with an 8 kilometre road run.
For all the news,
Join us tonight
at 6. Most Novocastrians took advantage of the long weekend holiday today and the Matara celebrations. In Civic Park, hundreds turned out for the free fair and concert, and some even got to meet their favourite television star.
For all the news,
Join us tonight
at 6.
Competitors in the second annual Twin Rivers Festival Triathlon began with a 1 kilometre swim down the Williams River. Brian Bamback from Raymond Terrace showed the form that's gained him state representation in both swimming and water polo to be first out of the water. But Guy Mears' Mark Pringle was close behind, heading into the 27 kilometre bike ride to Seaham and back. More than 120 competitors and 6 teams took part over a course which was longer than last year. Cooler weather conditions gave some relief as the field moved into the bike leg, and it was here Pringle began to open up a sizable lead, a lead he was to hold until the finish line. Another quick change and it was into the final leg, an 8 kilometre road run. An entrant in the Lake Macquarie Triathlon, Tiffany Hutchison, in the black and pink, continued her strong performances. She was the first woman home today in a time of 1 hour, 29 minutes and 33 seconds. At the head of the field, Pringle was still holding on to the lead, but Frank Harrington from Cooks Hill was gaining some ground, but not enough to catch the Guy Mears triathlete. He finished the course in a time of 1 hour, 17 minutes and 29 seconds.
How you feel?
Oh, not too bad. I got a bit of a sore leg, but otherwise it's not too bad.
Second was Harrington, 1 minute and 20 seconds behind, with Sean Vale from DY in third. The team's event was taken out by Newcastle athletes Simon Wells, Greg Watts and Bon Gray.
Then, this afternoon, 19-year-old Brendan Pope of Atherton Close, Rankin Park, was making his way home from the city about 3 o'clock when his journey came to an abrupt stop. His turbo-powered Mitsubishi Starion clipped the curb on the bend outside the New Lambton School, sending the vehicle into a spin. The Starion became airborne and wrapped itself around a pole on the other side of Rugby Road, snapping off several power lines and bending the car into almost a right angle. Impact occurred on the passenger side, and Brendan Pope, who fortunately was alone, was catapulted inside the cabin, suffering head and internal injuries. He's in a critical condition in the accident reception area of the Royal Newcastle Hospital. Rugby Road was blocked for some time as emergency services first extricated the driver and then stabilised his condition. Shortland staff were also called to put the power circuits back into order, while firemen from the nearby New Lambton Brigade stood watch. It was then left to tow truck operators to work out how to recover the car.
Over the last 3 days, spectators at the cliff have been treated to some excellent longboard surfing, but today the conditions were less than perfect. The Masters final was fought out between Frank Latter in the green, Steel City's Doug Holliday in the white. Doug was making a welcome return to competition and he eventually won the Masters section. In the blue, an adventurous Ron Rudder from the host club, showing it can be done backwards. Making some excellent runs into shore was Don Ashton in the black and white. Stuart Entwistle from Manly in the yellow was also making the best of the small waves and sloppy conditions. And showing the famous Hang 5 was Peter Cornish in the red from the Steel City Club. Competitors have to catch 3 waves in 30 minutes and are judged on their length of ride and manoeuvres. In other results, in the 9-foot final, it was Steel City 1-2-3. Marty McMillan won, Roger Clements was second and Steve Butterworth third. In the Old Mal, Tim Ryan of Steel City took the honours, while John Harris from the Central Coast took the open final. Steel City won the teams event.
Melbourne's Clifton Hill massacre and this siege in Hamilton earlier in the year has made police acutely aware that there are far too many firearms in our community. In an effort to mop up some of the firearms that may be lying around unused before they get into the wrong hands, police announced a 1-month amnesty on their return. During this period, people could return guns with no questions asked. The response was so good that the amnesty was extended by another month. In the Newcastle police area, there has been a constant stream of firearms.
At this stage, we have had about 74 dangerous weapons handed into Newcastle. That is in the Newcastle area. It includes Wallsend and Belmont.
That response is very high. Why do you think so many people are sort of responding in this area?
Well, I believe a lot of people may have found a weapon in their deceased estate or something like that, and they're a bit concerned in what they should do with it. And the government are giving those people the opportunity of handing it in rather than have it laying around a home somewhere.
Detective Sergeant John Mooney believes criminals are unlikely to hand in their weapons. However, all guns are checked with their ballistic section. He says criminals who have, say, committed a murder with a gun will not be given amnesty.
Well, each of the weapons that we take possession of are forwarded to Sydney or taken to Sydney for checking with the ballistic section. And these checks are made against outstanding crimes such as murders, serious shootings or serious offences involving firearms. There are records kept down there, and my understanding is that each and every firearm that is taken there is compared with outstanding crimes.
But if you do have an old weapon like this one lying around the house, you still have until October 20 to hand it in while the amnesty is still in force. This is Peter Brock's factory in Melbourne, home of the much sought-after Brock Special. Each week, only 8 of the modified cars come off the production line. The Brock changes include modifications to the suspension, engine and body. The cars, which currently sell for around $40,000 each, actually appreciate in value. Yesterday morning, Toronto detectives swooped on a house in Sunshine at the southern end of Lake Macquarie. They recovered a freshly completed Brock Holden Commodore sedan together with a partially complete Calais sedan. A 41-year-old man was arrested. Later in the day, they searched a premises in Morisset and arrested a 39-year-old man after discovering another Brock Holden Commodore sedan and parts of a stolen luxury Calais. Police allege that the men bought wrecks of badly smashed Brock Commodores and also acquired some stolen luxury Holden Commodore Calais sedans. The Calais were then converted into vehicles that easily passed as a genuine Brock Commodore. Were they successfully carrying it off?
Well, the only way we can now prove that these cars were stolen is from our information and from help from the people who had them. But other than that, they've passed all requirements of the Department of Motor Transport, and without extensive scientific testing, we may still never know where their cars actually came from. The thing is, the actual owners who had the cars stolen originally may never be located.
For the past 2 weeks, the sacked railway workers have stuck to their cause, supported by thousands of local residents and passing motorists. Number 25, still steaming at Minmai, has become the mascot of the FEDFA's dispute with Coal and Allied. On Tuesday night, the men presented 5,000 signatures to the Newcastle City Council calling for the reopening of the line. Coal and Allied has shut down the Richmond Vale Railway because it says the line is uneconomical, costing $1.1 million a year more to operate than trucking the coal by road. The workers say they've come up with their own operational costs, which are far less than those estimated by Coal and Allied. For the first time since the dispute began, the company met with some of the sacked railway men and delegates from other unions for talks at Trades Hall yesterday. Despite claiming support of the mining unions, Barry Joy of the TWU has criticised the stand taken by the FEDFA, arguing that their action could cost his members jobs hauling the Stockrington coal. After 2 hours of talks, Coal and Allied representatives left the meeting, allowing Trades Hall Secretary Peter Barrick to continue confidential discussions with the unions. The outcome and future of the dispute may be known later today, when the results of yesterday's talks are presented before the sacked workers at the protest campsite. The house at 36 Grandview Parade in New Lambton Heights was being renovated, with the tenants planning to move in next week. The fire began just after 11 o'clock last night. The house was set ablaze when the front door was opened. Firemen suspect the flames had been smouldering. Fire units from New Lambton, Cardiff and Wallsend rushed to the scene, but the flames had already severely damaged the rear section. Heat, smoke and water damaged the remainder of the dwelling. The fire was so severe that it burned up through the roof of the house. Firemen suspect the blaze started in the kitchen area.
A family holiday to the Barrington Tops came to an abrupt end just before midday today. 5 people, including a pregnant woman, were injured when a Pulsar sedan travelling north along Lanigan's Drive collided with an unladen coal truck which was turning right into Stockrington Road. Residents of Stockrington Road say they fear more accidents involving trucks which are now being used to haul coal from the Stockrington Colliery in place of the Richmond Vale Railway. Hello everyone, tonight a report on a road accident involving a car and a coal truck here at the intersection of Lanigan's Drive and Stockrington Road at Minmine. 5 people, including a pregnant woman, were injured in the smash.
For all the news,
Join us tonight
at 6.
The yachts in the Matara Swansea to Newcastle and back to Swansea race made a colourful backdrop for swimmers at Nobby's Beach. Pushed along by a strong northeaster, the fleet made quick time on the return leg to Lake Macquarie. On the harbour, skiffs and catamarans went through their paces in the Port Hunter Matara Regatta. The course took the competitors to all points of the harbour. And while the yachts made a festive splash of colour nearing the end of this year's Matara activities, some onlookers preferred the fishing.
Tomorrow's David Madison lecture on ethics and the allocation of health resources is the centrepiece of a 2-day conference on the subject. Organised by the medical faculty of the University of Newcastle, the David Madison Lecture will be given each year by a notary in the world of medicine on a different subject of topical importance. This year's speaker is Professor Stephen Leader, Professor of Community Medicine at the University of Sydney. Professor Leader says that ethics and medicine are intimately linked. He says the country doctors' dispute highlights this.
Well, I think it's a good example of the way in which there is a measure of unfairness in the provision of healthcare facilities at present. Here are country people who are not able to avail themselves of general practitioner services in hospitals in the same way or to the same degree that people in urban hospitals would be able to get medical care. So it points up the fact that I guess it matters a bit where you live.
Well, there's talk now of the country doctors going on strike on Monday. Is that ethical?
I don't think so. I think that actually places them in very serious jeopardy in terms of their professional credibility in the community.
The Hunter Life Education van was one of 2 units which travelled throughout the region teaching school children about the dangers of drugs. The vehicle was on its way to Nabiac School when it and a semi-trailer travelling south on the Pacific Highway collided. The semi, carrying a load of timber, skidded for 30 metres into bushland, collecting shrubs and trees which crushed the prime mover. The drivers of both vehicles escaped serious injury, but suffered severe facial lacerations and bruising. Not so the 15-year-old passenger and son of the driver travelling in the truck towing the van. He was flown by rescue helicopter to Royal Newcastle Hospital with severe head and back injuries and internal bleeding. He's in a stable condition. Educational tools and books from inside the van were strewn across the roadside. The audio-visual equipment was smashed. The overall loss is estimated at $120,000, and luckily the bill will be covered by insurance. Despite a 2-week delay, the Hunter Life Education program will continue as a 2-unit operation.
Initially, we were devastated because we felt that it would greatly put our program back. There'd be 12,000 children within the next term who wouldn't have advantage of the Life Education program. But something always good happens, and Wesley Knopf rang me from Sydney, from the Wayside Chapel, and it would appear that he's going to endeavour to get one of their vans from the western suburbs into our region for an interim period of time until our new van is here. So it's not going to be as bad as we thought.
To get the other unit on the road again, another truck is needed to pull the van. Chairman of Hunter Life Education, Lynn Thurnham, is now appealing to the public for help.
We are asking for support. We've been very, very lucky. Ken Dolfors actually owns the truck. It was on loan to us. But yes, that's what we need. We need it within 48 hours too, because we have a program in the Lambton School. That has to go on to its next school within 2 days. So yes, that's our desperate need.
See this, Fred? It's got 4 holes. Now, I don't know why it's got 4, Fred. You tell me. Because look, I've only got 1 bit. Well, that's all you're giving me.
In recent times, the endless struggles of the unionists have featured regularly in media headlines. And now the Melbourne Workers Theatre Company has based its latest production around the rank and file members. The research was carried out at Melbourne's Jolimont Train Maintenance Depot, with the actors collecting stories and personal histories from the workers. Judging by the response from port workers at Carrington today, the play is one that most union members will relate to.
It's basically a play that looks at the day in the life of ordinary working people and the particular problems that they are facing during that day. And it comes from research and interviews we did with shop floor workers. And we went into the project as a company trying to address the question of what does it mean to be a trade union. So that was our guiding question. So we asked them about trade unions, their relationship to the leadership in the trade unions, the shop stewards, but we also asked them a lot, and we got lots of great stories about their lives. And the whole play, both plays, are full of rich stories. And in fact, we got so many stories that we couldn't fit them all into 50 minutes.
State of Defence opens at the Newcastle Workers tonight for one performance only.